Could this be the reason why Caitlin Clark didn't compete in the three-point contest? Or could this be retaliation? Caitlin's not competing in the three-point contest. We're not going to grant her favorite photographer credentials to work at this event.
Finally, for the WNBA, they are getting zero participation. Headline at Fox News: Caitlin Clark declines invitation to three-point shooting contest. I wonder why. I wonder why Caitlin Clark would decline this invitation. I wonder why Caitlin Clark would decline the opportunity to elevate the WNBA. I wonder why Caitlin Clark would decline the opportunity to boost viewership on ESPN, which is the network with the unfortunate responsibility of...
I'm not going to say individual photographers, but in terms of well-known WNBA photographers, she is the most well-known of people that is their focus. And yes, obviously, there is a serious focus on Caitlin Clark when it comes to Brie. And I'm not going to pretend there's not.
The WNBA denied credentials to Caitlin Clark's personal photographer for All-Star Weekend. Not delayed. Not lost the paperwork. Denied. Meanwhile, other players walked their own photographers and content people through the same doors without a single issue. That's the story. That's the whole thing sitting right there in front of us. And once you line it up next to what happened just days earlier, it stops looking random, real for you.
Fast. You know, Caitlin Clark, well, you know, the first year she was a rookie. She didn't want to do it. Last year she was obviously hurt. And this year, what's going on? Must be that she's only shooting just north of 30% from behind the arc. The answer is emphatically wrong on that. That has nothing to do with it. And here's the thing. Sabrina Ionescu is not participating this year. Yes, she has participated in the past. This year, though, she has been encountering back soreness. Oh, coincidentally, who else has had some back soreness? That's right, Caitlin Clark. Maybe she's learning from someone before her that, you know, things like this could re-injure or re-aggravate things. This is not an excuse, folks. It's just the healthier option, okay? It has nothing to do with where she's shooting, you know, what her shooting percentage is from behind the arc. I mean, how uneducated do you have to be to think that's the reason?
Because here's what happened right before that. Caitlin Clark was invited to play in the 2026 three-point contest during All-Star Weekend, and she said no. This isn't new for her. She skipped it back in 2024 too, and she was actually set to play last year before an injury pulled her out. So, turning it down isn't some shocking act of disrespect toward the league. It's just a player managing her own body during a long, grinding season. Sabrina Ionescu said no too. So, did Kayla McBride, 0.3 of the best shooters in the league, all passed on the same event, and somehow only one of those players ended up with the credentialing problem days?
Later.
Think about it. What does she have to gain from participating in this meaningless event? If she wins, she will be criticized. I'm so tired of this white privilege. If she loses, she will be criticized. I told you Caitlin Clark was overrated. She always folds under pressure. Caitlin Clark has nothing to gain by participating in the three-point contest. Her participation would be a favor to the league, and maybe she would be willing to help out if she was appreciated. Maybe she would be willing to help out if she wasn't treated like she doesn't matter, since the WNBA thinks they can make it without...
Let's be honest about why this specific denial hits differently than it would for literally anyone else in the league. Caitlin Clark isn't just a name on a roster this weekend. She's basically the reason the weekend exists in the form it currently exists in. Ticket prices jump when she's confirmed. Ratings climb. Merchandise flies off shelves the moment her jersey number gets restocked. The league has spent 2 years building its entire growth story around her face, her highlights, and her games.so when the one person specifically hired to document those moments up close gets locked out of the building right after she personally says no to something the league wanted from her. You don't need a detective to connect those two.
Like, it's at the stage where she's one of the Fever's main photographers, but like, she's a step ahead of that. Like, this is a photographer with a genuine relationship with a player, and you can tell when, again, like that, as far as photographers are concerned, like, she is a very important one for the most important player in the league. It is what it is. She is one of the more important photographers around. Like, and not just for Caitlin. Obviously, the Indiana Fever, this is earlier on, Caitlin Clark being injured, and, you know, she's there with the Indiana Fever.
And that's really the part that makes this so hard to explain away as some boring logistics issue. Other players bring personal photographers and small content teams to All-Star Weekend constantly, and nobody has ever made it an issue. It's become a completely normal part of how players build their own brands outside of whatever the league puts out officially. Why does it suddenly become a problem the one time it involves Clark's team, right after she turned down an invite? That's not a rule being applied evenly across the board. That's a rule that apparently only exists when it's convenient.
I'm pissed. After tonight's game, I'm pissed. And I'm clearly not alone in my sentiments, but the league has a serious officiating issue. And the fact that the way that they treat their generational talent is truly disgusting. The calls tonight were insane. Or the no calls tonight were insane.
Now, if you want to actually understand why Clark might not be racing to do the league any extra favors right now, you have to look at how she's been treated on the floor for 2 full seasons. We've all seen the clips by now. The hard fouls that somehow don't get reviewed the same way fouls against other stars get reviewed. The shoves that happen just outside the referee's sightline, or sometimes right in front of it, and still don't get called. She's been knocked to the floor, elbowed, and talked down to on national broadcasts, and more often than not, the league's actual response has amounted to a whole lot of nothing.
WNBA women are 100% jealous of Caitlin Clark. You cannot sit here and look me straight in the eye and tell me that this girl, Caitlin Clark, who put your sport on the map, who pays your bills, who is your meal ticket, is the 11th best guard in the WNBA. You can't sit here and look at me in the eyes with a straight face and say she's the 11th best guard. This doesn't have anything to do with skill. This doesn't have anything to do with how she plays on the court. This has to do with they can't stand how much of an impact she has had on the WNBA. They can't stand that she has put their sport on the map and that she made their sport relevant. Yes, there's been plenty of other legends before her, but they never ever had the impact like she has.
You'd think
League that depends this heavily on one single player's popularity would go out of its way to protect her physically, the same way other leagues protect their biggest attractions. Instead, it's felt like the opposite more often than not. Analysts have pointed out specific plays where the same contact against almost any other star gets whistled immediately, but against Clark, it just gets a shrug and play continues so when people wonder why she isn't jumping at the chance to do the league a favor with an extra event on her calendar. That question kind of answers itself before you even finish asking it.
Caitlin Clark's peers voted her the 11th best guard. The media and the fans voted her like 2 and 3.
I think 11th is crazy, to be honest.
Candace Parker went on her podcast, Post Moves, and said,
"You got some insecurities if you sitting down and putting Caitlin Clark as the 11th best guard." Like, y'all need to go to a therapist.
There's a lot of things that come into play for All-Star, like fan voting is part of it. But if it only went by fan voting, that wouldn't be fair either, because it's not always the best players. But it's unfortunately also been like this for 3 years. Last year, I think they voted her like 9th best guard.
Why do you think the players have a resistance to voting her higher?
It might be part of that, like insecurities or jealousy. She comes into the her rookie season. We need 4 sheets of paper to like see all the records that she broke. And so there's going to be animosity towards you. But at the same time, she's somebody who transformed this entire league, like brought in millions upon millions of eyeballs and like a rising.
It's not only the missed calls, either. It's the constant stream of comments from her peers, too. Certain players around the league have made a habit out of taking shots at her in interviews, on podcasts, in post-game scrums, framing her success as something that landed in her lap rather than something she actually earned on the floor. Every time one of those clips drops, it gets pushed out fast, that IT gets the algorithm boost, and it drives more attention to the rivalry drama than to the actual basketball being played. Mostly stays quiet through all of it and lets her stat line answer for her. This is the same league that benefits every single day from Caitlin Clark content going viral from every sold-out road arena she brings with her, from every ratings record tied directly to her name. And yet the moment she makes one decision the league didn't want, the response is to go after the person closest to her professionally, someone with zero say in her actual basketball choices, just to make a point.
Stick is Caitlin Clark pulled a no-show. Caitlin Clark's out in Iowa having a good old time, not dealing with this nonsense, going to see, hair people and all of this stuff. She ain't got time to be dealing with these people no more. And I don't blame her. If I was Caitlin Clark, I wouldn't want to deal with these idiots any longer either. It's just been too much. Too much has been done. Too much has been done. Caitlin Clark pulled a absolute no-show. Here she is in Iowa. Okay. She said, I'm not going. I'll catch y'all. I'll catch y'all when I catch y'all. I might just show up. I might not show up to All-Star Weekend until 10 minutes before the game. I might not show up till 10 minutes before the game because y'all don't deserve the GOAT's presence with the way you guys have been acting.
Now, to be completely fair here, because this only works if we're fair about it, nobody is saying Clark owes the league her participation in every single event just because she happens to be the biggest draw in the building. Skipping a skills competition is a completely normal athlete decision. Rest matters. Load management matters. Especially heading into the stretch run of a long season where every extra rep on tired legs adds up. If she wanted a lighter weekend and decided the three-point contest wasn't worth the wear and tear, that's a reasonable call that shouldn't need a formal explanation to anybody watching from home. The problem here was never the no. The problem is what allegedly happened right after the
no. She was there for Paige's senior year photo shoot for Hopkins Paige, and they decide, you know what, we're not going to grant her credentials. We're not going to grant her credentials. And it's funny where there are a lot of people when it comes to this scenario that are like, could this be the reason why Caitlin Clark didn't compete in the three-point contest? Or could this be retaliation? Caitlin's not competing in the three-point contest. We're not going to grant her favorite photographer credentials